All right, so have you ever felt like interview prep is kind of like a guessing game?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you never know what they're going to ask.
Right.
Today, we're actually ditching the guesswork. We're
Oh, yeah.
diving deep into interview structure
Okay.
with a guide called How to Structure a Great Interview, a complete guide to gaining valuable insights.
All right.
Hopefully by the end of this, you will walk away feeling way more ready to tackle your next interview,
Okay.
whether you are the one asking the questions
Right.
or answering them.
Gotcha.
And trust me, we are uncovering some pretty surprising strategies
Okay.
that go way beyond anything surface level.
Interesting.
You know what really struck me about this guide
Hmm.
is how much it emphasizes the importance of purpose
Yeah.
right from the very start.
Yeah.
It's not just about like showing up and asking questions.
Yeah.
It's about understanding what you're trying to achieve with the whole conversation.
Like the overall goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about the difference between interviewing like a potential employee
Mm.
and chatting with a guest on a podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
Both involve questions,
Yeah.
but the goals are totally different.
Totally different. Yeah.
Right.
Right. And this guide actually goes a step further, highlighting how crucial it is to go beyond that basic research.
Oh, really?
Like, it's not enough to just skim a resume
Yeah.
or like a LinkedIn profile.
Oh, wow.
You really need to dig deeper
Okay.
to understand the person's motivations,
Mhm.
their experiences,
Yeah.
their driving forces.
So it's about finding the why behind their choices,
Absolutely.
not just the what.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm curious, how do you recommend going about that kind of in-depth research?
Well, it's all about connecting the dots.
Okay.
So look for patterns in their work, a common thread that kind of reveals their passions.
Okay.
Maybe it's a specific type of project they gravitate towards,
Mm-hmm.
or a recurring theme in their writing.
Interesting.
Even maybe an unusual hobby that kind of speaks to their personality.
Wow.
It's those little details that often spark the most interesting conversations.
That reminds me of something the guide mentioned
Okay.
about how even seemingly insignificant details
Mm-hmm.
can reveal hidden passions
Yeah,
or unexpected skills.
that's right.
It's like being a detective, uncovering those clues that paint a richer picture of the person.
Precisely. It's about going beyond that surface level.
Okay.
Really trying to understand what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And once you have that deeper understanding, you can start to craft questions
Okay.
that will truly unlock valuable insights.
So we've talked about purpose
Yeah,
and we've talked about research.
right.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of structuring the interview itself.
Okay.
The guide lays out a pretty clear framework.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through it?
Sure. It starts with a warm introduction,
Okay.
kind of setting the stage, putting the interviewee at ease.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move into the getting to know you phase,
Yeah.
exploring their background and experience.
Mm.
This is where you can start weaving in
Yeah.
those insightful questions that you've crafted based on your deep dive research.
Gotcha.
From there, you delve into the main topic, asking more specific and thought-provoking questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's important to kind of transition into reflections.
Okay.
Give them space to share lessons learned,
Okay.
advice for others,
Mm-hmm.
and finally, you wrap things up with a strong conclusion, summarizing key points.
Okay.
Give them a final chance to share anything else they'd like to add.
So it's like a roadmap,
Yeah,
but not a rigid script.
exactly.
Right.
Right.
We still want to allow for spontaneity
Absolutely.
and let the conversation flow naturally.
Think of it like a well-designed building.
Okay.
You need a solid structure for support,
Yeah.
but you also want to allow for some creative flourishes, architectural details that make it unique.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between structure and flexibility.
Absolutely.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Even with a solid framework, coming up with those killer questions can still be a challenge.
Yeah.
And the guide actually dives into different types of questions,
Mm-hmm.
specifically highlighting the importance of open-ended questions.
Yes.
I would love to hear your take on why those are so crucial.
Well, open-ended questions are like unlocking a treasure chest of insights.
Oh, wow.
They encourage the interviewee to go beyond simple yes or no answers
Yeah.
and really share their thoughts,
Mhm.
experiences, and perspectives.
Okay.
So instead of asking, did you enjoy that project?
Yeah.
You could try, what were the most rewarding aspects of that project?
Right.
And what were some of the challenges you faced?
Okay.
See how that opens up the conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Invites them to share more?
It's like inviting them to tell a story,
Exactly.
not just give a data point.
Right.
I bet you've got some great examples.
I do.
of how open-ended questions have led to those aha moments in your own interviews?
Oh, definitely. I remember one time I was interviewing a CDO for a business magazine.
Okay.
And instead of asking the typical, what are your company's goals?
Yeah.
I decided to switch it up and ask, what keeps you up at night?
Okay, that's a much more intriguing question.
Right.
What happened?
His entire demeanor shifted. Instead of giving those polished, PR-approved answers, he started sharing some really honest and vulnerable reflections
Wow.
about the challenges of leadership,
Yeah.
the weight of responsibility. It completely changed the tone of the interview
Wow.
and gave me some incredibly insightful material for the article.
That's a perfect example
Yeah.
of how a well-crafted, open-ended question can unlock unexpected depths
Right.
and lead to a much more compelling conversation.
Exactly. It's about creating space for those authentic responses to emerge.
Yeah.
And speaking of authenticity, this guide actually reveals what it calls the secret weapon of great interviews.
Oh, okay.
Any guesses?
Well, based on what we've been talking about, I'm guessing it has something to do with creating a genuine connection with the interviewee.
You got it.
Okay.
It's not just about the structure or the questions. It's about fostering a sense of trust and rapport
Okay.
that allows the interviewee to open up and share their authentic self.
So it's about going beyond the professional facade
Yeah,
and making a human connection.
absolutely.
I'm curious, what are some practical ways to create that kind of emotional connection during an interview?
Well, it's about those subtle cues that signal you're truly present and engaged.
Okay.
You can start with like a genuine compliment about their work.
Okay.
Maybe something specific that resonated with you.
Yeah.
It breaks the ice,
Mm-hmm.
sets a positive tone.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Everyone appreciates feeling seen
Oh, yeah.
and valued, especially in a professional setting.
Exactly. And pay attention to your body language.
Okay.
Subtle mirroring can
Wow.
go a long way
Okay.
in building rapport. Subtly match their posture,
Mhm.
their energy level.
Okay.
It creates a subconscious sense of connection
Oh, wow.
and trust.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between being professional,
Yes.
but also relatable.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right. And most importantly, be a good listener.
Okay.
Really focus on what they're saying.
Yeah.
Not just waiting for your turn to speak.
Right.
Ask those follow-up questions that show you're genuinely interested
Yeah.
in their perspective.
Those are fantastic tips.
Yeah.
It makes me think about times I've felt truly heard in conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I always end up sharing so much more
Right.
because there's that sense of safety and trust.
Absolutely.
It makes total sense that it would apply in an interview setting as well.
Exactly. Creating that comfortable space is key to unlocking those authentic insights.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our purpose,
Okay.
our in-depth research,
Mm-hmm.
our flexible framework,
Yeah.
and our secret weapon of emotional connection.
Right.
Now let's get practical. The guide also includes a bunch of example questions.
Sure.
For each stage of the interview,
All right.
a great starting point to spark your own creativity.
Yeah, those examples were super helpful.
Yeah.
Like in the introductory phase,
Yeah.
they suggest starting with a question like,
Mhm.
how would you describe your career journey in just one sentence?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a great way to get them thinking big picture,
Yeah.
distilling their experience down to its essence.
It's a fantastic icebreaker.
Yeah.
Gets them reflecting on their path and sets the stage for a deeper conversation.
I also love their suggestion for the getting to know you phase.
Okay.
What's a project you're particularly proud of and why?
Oh, that's a good one.
It invites them to showcase their strengths
Yeah.
and passions
Mm-hmm.
while also giving you insights into their work style
Yeah,
and values.
exactly. It goes beyond just listing accomplishments on a resume.
Yeah.
It gets to the heart of what drives them,
Mm-hmm.
what they find filling.
And in the main topic phase,
Yes.
they suggest something like,
Mm-hmm.
what's a major challenge you faced in your work and how did you approach it?
Ooh, good one.
This reveals problem-solving skills,
Yes.
resilience,
Mm,
their ability to learn from setbacks.
That's a great way to assess their approach to challenges and
Yeah.
how they handle pressure.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Okay.
These questions are all about uncovering stories, not just facts.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
It's those stories that truly bring the interview to life. Reveal the person behind the professional facade.
Right.
And speaking of stories,
Yeah.
in the reflection phase,
Okay.
they have a question I particularly love.
Okay.
What advice would you give your younger self knowing what you know now?
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
It prompts them to reflect on their journey,
Mm-hmm.
share their wisdom,
Yeah.
and potentially reveal some valuable lessons learned along the way.
It's a powerful question.
Yeah.
Often leads to unexpected insights and genuine vulnerability.
And in the closing phase,
Mm-hmm.
they suggest something like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you most excited about in your work right now?
That's a good one.
It ends the conversation on a positive note,
Mm-hmm.
gives them a chance to share their passions
Yeah.
and future aspirations.
I love that. Leaves them feeling energized.
Yeah.
Gives you, as the interviewer,
Mm-hmm.
a glimpse into their future trajectory.
So we've gone through all the stages.
Yes.
We've even explored some killer example questions.
We have.
I'm feeling much more confident about structuring my next interview.
That's great.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
is there anything else from the guide that really stood out to you as particularly insightful or helpful?
You know, there was one point that really resonated with me,
Okay.
and it's something we haven't explicitly addressed yet.
Okay.
The guide emphasizes that the best interviews are a two-way street.
Oh,
It's not just about extracting information from the interviewee.
right.
It's about engaging in a genuine conversation,
Yeah.
being willing to share your own perspectives as well.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah,
It's about creating a dialogue,
Mm.
not just a Q&A session.
exactly. Don't be afraid to share relevant anecdotes,
Mm.
your own experiences,
Okay.
or even your thoughts on the topics being discussed.
Yeah.
It creates a more natural and engaging flow, shows the interviewee that you're not just there to gather information.
Right.
You're genuinely interested in connecting and sharing ideas.
So it's about being authentic,
Yeah.
letting your personality shine through
Mm-hmm.
while still maintaining that professional courtesy.
Absolutely. Think about it this way.
Okay.
When you have a conversation with a friend,
Yeah.
you share your thoughts and experiences, right?
Right.
That back and forth is what makes the conversation flow
Yeah.
and feel authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same principle in an interview,
Yeah.
just with a slightly different context.
It's like finding that balance between being an interviewer and being a human being having a conversation.
Exactly. And that's what makes the interview memorable for both you and the interviewee.
Right.
And speaking of memorable,
Mm-hmm.
the guide also had a really interesting section on the importance of asking follow-up questions.
Oh, yeah.
They're like those little side paths
Okay.
that can lead you to unexpected discoveries.
Oh, yeah, the follow-ups.
Yes.
Those are often where the real gold is buried.
That's right.
It's like you're saying,
Yeah.
hey, that thing you just said, tell me more about that.
Precisely, it shows that you're truly listening,
Yeah.
that you're curious to delve deeper into their thoughts and experiences.
Right.
Sometimes the most insightful responses come from those seemingly spontaneous follow-up questions.
It's like those moments in a conversation where you go off on a tangent
Uh-huh.
and end up uncovering something totally unexpected and fascinating.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be present and engaged throughout the entire conversation.
Yeah.
Not just sticking rigidly to your pre-planned questions.
So it's about being prepared, but also being open to those serendipitous moments where the conversation takes you on a detour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those detours often lead to the most valuable insights.
Right.
Now, before we jump into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
there was one more point from the guide that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
It's something that can really elevate the entire interview experience,
Mm-hmm.
leave a lasting impression on the interviewee.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
It's the art of closing the interview gracefully and thoughtfully.
Oh.
It's not just about saying goodbye.
Okay.
It's about leaving the interviewee with a positive feeling
Right.
and a sense of closure.
That makes sense. You want to end on a high note and ensure they feel valued and respected.
Precisely.
Mhm.
And the guide actually suggests some specific strategies for achieving that graceful exit.
Okay.
For example, they recommend summarizing the key takeaways of the conversation,
Okay.
highlighting something specific that you found particularly interesting or insightful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
It shows that you are truly listening, that you value their perspective.
exactly. It also gives the interviewee a chance to clarify anything they might have said or add any final thoughts.
So it's like giving them the last word,
Mhm.
ensuring they feel heard and understood.
Absolutely. And another tip they suggest
Yeah.
is expressing gratitude for their time,
Mm-hmm.
sharing your excitement for what they're doing.
Okay.
It leaves them feeling appreciated and energized.
I love that it's a small gesture, but it can make a big difference in how they remember the experience.
Exactly. It's about leaving a lasting positive impression.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have.
From practical tips on creating emotional connection
Yeah.
to exploring the power of follow-up questions
Mm,
closing the interview gracefully.
right.
We've really unpacked the art of crafting a meaningful and insightful interview experience.
I agree.
But before we wrap up entirely,
Yes.
there's one final piece of the puzzle we need to explore,
Okay.
and that's how to effectively bring the interview to a close.
You're absolutely right. The closing moments of an interview are just as important as the opening and the main body.
Yeah.
It's your last chance to leave a lasting impression and ensure the interviewee feels valued and respected.
So we talked about the importance of closing gracefully.
Mm.
What are some practical tips for really nailing that final impression?
Well, the guide suggests offering a genuine thank you.
Okay.
Expressing your appreciation for their insights.
Hmm.
Seems simple, but acknowledging their time and effort goes a long way in solidifying that positive feeling.
You're right. Sometimes the simplest gestures are the most meaningful.
Yeah.
Shows you respect their expertise, value their contribution to the conversation.
And here's another closing tip from the guide I found really interesting.
Okay.
It suggests ending with a forward-looking question.
Oh, okay.
Something like, what are you most excited about in your work right now?
Okay.
Leaves the interviewee feeling energized.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you a glimpse into their future goals and aspirations.
I love that. It shifts the focus from the past to the future.
Yeah,
Ends the conversation on a note of optimism and possibility.
exactly. It also subtly reinforces that you see them as a dynamic individual
Okay.
with ongoing projects and passions.
Yeah.
Not just someone you're interviewing for a specific purpose.
It's about recognizing their continued journey, not just their past achievements.
You got it. And lastly, the guide emphasizes the importance of following through after the interview.
Okay.
Whether it's sending a thank you note
Yeah.
or connecting on LinkedIn,
Right.
those little gestures can solidify the relationship,
Hmm.
leave a lasting positive impression.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Shows you're genuinely interested in staying connected.
Right.
Value the relationship beyond the interview itself.
Mm.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive,
We have.
from purpose and research,
Yeah.
open-ended questions,
Right.
emotional connection,
Uh-huh.
nailing those crucial closing moments.
It's a lot.
I feel like I've gained a whole new toolkit for approaching interviews with confidence and intention.
Me too. And what's really fascinating is that so many of these principles apply whether you're the interviewer or the interviewee.
Oh, that's interesting.
Being prepared, asking thoughtful questions, actively listening, creating a genuine connection. These are all valuable skills no matter which side of the table you're on.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that an interview is a collaborative process,
Yeah.
a shared journey of discovery.
Exactly. And even if you're not conducting a formal interview, these principles can enhance any conversation.
Oh, wow.
Whether it's networking, meeting a new client, or even just deepening a relationship with a friend.
It's about bringing that same level of intention and curiosity to every interaction.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's safe to say that we have officially demystified the art of the interview.
I think we have.
We've unpacked the structure,
Yeah.
explored the nuances,
Uh-huh.
even uncovered some secret weapons along the way.
That's right.
So to everyone listening, you are now armed with the knowledge and strategies to rock your next interview, and maybe even transform any conversation into an opportunity for genuine connection and insightful discovery.
Remember, it's not just about asking the right questions. It's about fostering a space where authentic responses can emerge and meaningful connections can flourish.